Naval Fernando Hospital officially handed over to the government. Special investigation into alleged dog killings at Moratuwa University. Prime Minister speaks out on consensual government. Former Minister Mervin Silva comments on fraud and corruption.
Coming to you live and direct from the News1st studio here in Colombo, Sri Lanka. This is your Primetime News Bulletin. A very good evening. I'm Mervin Silva.
And I'm Dasmi Athada. Let's start off with a look at tonight's top stories. The official ceremony to hand over the Naval Fernando Hospital in Malambe to the government took place this morning under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena. Minister of Health Dr. Aditya Senaratne, speaking at the event, said the hospital will become a free state hospital from the 1st of August.
I did not establish the Saitam with the aim of earning money. I spoke to Minister Vishwavarnapala and told him that I have money with me since I sold Asha Central for 1.6 billion rupees. So I asked that I be granted approval to start up a private medical college. Most of the people come up to me and ask, aren't I sad to part ways with the hospital? We are used to giving up things, and this is a donation I make with utmost happiness.
A memorandum of understanding was signed between the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Janak Sugatadasa, Dr. Naval Fernando and the General Manager of the Bank of Ceylon, D.M. Gunasekara.
In truth, this is not a takeover of the hospital. It is a gift to the state by Dr. Naval Fernando. The state is not expecting a single cent. I state this very moment that Dr. Naval Fernando has personally signed and pledged to settle all debts of this hospital. We will commence 3 new medical universities in the coming 2 years of this government. Next year, we will commence the Northwest Medical University. The following year, we will commence the Ratnapura Medical Faculty. And by the end of the following year, we will commence a medical university in Moratuwa. Today, Dr. Naval Fernando, with no hard feeling, has gifted this hospital, which was constructed spending a massive sum of money. The biggest donation we received thus far was the donation of 1,001 hospital beds from Japan to the Jawadhanapura Hospital during the time of the former president. Today, we received this hospital worth around 3.55 billion rupees, not from international aid, but from a very successful investor in the country. This hospital, which was constructed under the direct watchful eye of Dr. Naval Fernando, is gifted today to the state. I am grateful to him for making such a generous contribution. There were 3 issues concerning this hospital. 1. There was no one to teach public health. 2. There was no system to teach forensic medicine. Third was that the number of patients at the hospital was quite low. The number of patients aren't enough for clinical training. So 2 of these 3 issues have been resolved. As for the matter of clinical services, once the number of patients increase, all the factors will be complete. I would like to inform the staff of this hospital that by no means will your job be at stake because it's under the state ownership. I assure this. Not just that we will make allocations for just 100 students, but even 500 students to engage in training.
Naval Fernando Hospital, also referred to as Dr. Naval Fernando Sri Lanka-Russia Friendship Hospital, was founded on the 15th of April 2013. This hospital is considered to be one of the largest private hospitals in the country and the first private teaching hospital in the country. Naval Fernando Hospital, worth around 3.55 billion rupees, a high-tech hospital, has a capacity to accommodate around 1,100 hospital beds.
The foundation stone for the Viyatpura housing complex was laid today under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The Viyatpura housing complex will be built in Veeramawatha in Pannipitiya. This will be built as a housing complex for the employees of the state and private sector.
මේ රටේ වෘත්තීය වේදීන් සඳහා වියත් පරපුර සඳහා
We felt the urgent need for a housing complex for the professionals in our country. This year we will implement 6 such projects in 6 different places. 2 more housing projects will be implemented by the Megapolis Development Authority and the Sri Lanka Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. With that we will be able to provide 5,000 housing facilities for the professionals in our country.
අපේ වෘත්තීය වේදී පිරිස් වලට ලබා දෙන්න. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ රටේ
We have a sum of 420 billion rupees of debt to be paid in the next 3 years. We will need to have a very competitive economy to be able to settle this debt. We will have to increase revenue of this country, including the tax revenue. By 2020, we will be in a position to settle the initial debt payment. After that, we will be able to reduce the total debt. When you have competitive economy, you cannot limit its advantages to a very few parties. It will not benefit the owners of these industries. We will need to achieve a good economy and social justice. It is not easy to govern with 2 parties. That is why I told that this will be like a national government, but we will move forward with this.
It is very unfortunate the present government was given a mandate to clean up the system in order to bring in an ethical government. It is unfortunate at the moment we hear more and more corruption taking place. It is the duty of the Prime Minister and the President to ensure that corruption is eliminated. The maximum that they should do is not to get together in order to rob the country. What they should do is to stop corruption and to put the country on the track. I think it will be a task that people expect at the moment from the government. Unless they do that, I do not think they will be able to rectify the whole situation, because there is more and more corruption taking place, having got together. Both sides had got together and they are robbing the country.
If the government needs an urgent cash requirement, an official request must be made to the Treasury. This is revealed today at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Treasury bond issue. Zulfiq Farzan reports.
The Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, S.R. Artigala, submitted his evidence via an affidavit. He said the Secretary or the Minister of Finance did not inform the Treasury of any urgent government cash requirement for the month of February 2015. The requirement of Rs 75 billion, as mentioned in a letter bearing the signature of then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, was not indicated to the Treasury. It must be noted that this letter, produced earlier by Arjuna Mahendran's lawyers, was challenged by the state for not indicating a date or to whom it is addressed. Artigala said if there is an urgent cash requirement, that would be indicated in the respective monthly cash flow requirement. The witness stated that urgent requirements of smaller amounts would be addressed using the OD facility with the Bank of Ceylon or People's Bank, or via the issue of Treasury bills. He went on to say that the requirement of such a magnitude would have to be raised via Treasury bonds or Sri Lanka development bonds. In the event of an urgent need of Rs 75 billion, the Ministry of Finance must make an official request from the Treasury, and thereafter the Treasury would communicate it to the central bank. Thereafter, the cash flow requirement for the corresponding month will be revised and sent to the Public Debt Department. Artigala testified that a minister never directly tells a governor of a cash flow requirement. For February 2015, the debt service, or the amount of money required to make payments, was 33.64 billion rupees. The Public Debt Department had borrowed a total of 60.91 billion rupees, of which 28.38 billion rupees was used to retire Treasury bills. It came to light that the balance for the month of February was 8.28 billion rupees. The witness said, therefore, there was no shortfall in the cash flow requirement.
Proceedings of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the Treasury bond issue were adjourned until tomorrow morning after Attorney at Law Chanaka De Silva requested more time from the Commission for him to go through the documents and the affidavits produced by the witness, the Deputy Secretary to the Treasury. Thereby, the Commission decided to adjourn its sittings until tomorrow morning. From the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, I'm Zulfiq Farzan for News First.
The repercussions of the bond investigations have extended beyond the inquiry itself. Today, the island newspaper reports that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has started probing into the activities of 20 bank officials attached to the Employees' Provident Fund for their alleged involvement in the Treasury bond scams.
The island reports that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had already sent them show cause letters as part of the investigation. Quoting sources, the island says that the officials had been asked to respond by July 20th, and some of those who received the letters had written back seeking additional time. It adds that most of the officials allegedly involved in the bond scams had been transferred to other departments within the bank. Senior Assistant Director Saman Kumara has been interdicted in this connection. It reports that some officials under a cloud have had links to Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The Colombo Stock Exchange has suspended its director Asanga Senaviratna and enforced severe regulatory actions against 4 stockbrokers. CEO of one of the brokers, Nation Lanka Equities Private Limited, Ajan Punchiheva, is also a director of the controversial Perpetual Treasuries Limited. According to Ceylon Today, under Asanga Senaviratna's chairmanship, the Nation Lanka Equities Private Limited has failed to maintain the stockbroker minimum capital adequacy ratio requirement and minimum liquid capital requirement. The other stockbrokers placed under the strict regulatory alert by the Colombo Stock Exchange are SC Securities Private Limited, Capital Trust Securities, TKS Securities Private Limited.
Addressing a gathering in Ratnapura yesterday, General Secretary of the JVP Mervin Silva spoke on the government's anti-corruption efforts.
They came in to stop corruption, but instead they started off with a massive theft, the central bank bond scam. The government came in to capture the rogues, but instead the rogues have captured the government. Now the old rogues and the new rogues have gotten together and are stealing away. Look at how the subjects have been divided among the cabinet ministers. It has been done in a way where all the ministers could make their portion of money. I'll give you 2 examples. One is Lakshman Kiriyalla. His ministerial portfolio is higher education and highways. How can higher education and highways be put together? But it was done anyway. Why? Because there isn't much money involved in higher education. But highways, on the other hand, is an area where a lot of money can be made, which is why Lakshman Kiriyalla was given an ordinary ministry and a money-making ministry. Ravi Karuna Nayaka was finance minister. Citing that there was corruption, he was made foreign minister. A week later, the 2 lotteries boards which were under the purview of the finance ministry were removed and were tied to the foreign ministry. So the foreign ministry will proceed as normal while the money is made through the lotteries boards. Ministries have been created to make commissions, not to develop the country. There were so many criminals, but were any of them punished? Anuruddha Senanayaka was arrested on the charge of concealing evidence in the Tajuddin homicide. While in remand custody, Anuruddha Senanayaka said, "This is absurd because he is in custody for concealing evidence while the murderers roam free." What happened then? Anuruddha Senanayaka was also released on bail. Now there is nothing. There has been a murder but no murderer. There have been thefts but no thieves. Such an astonishing country this is.
Newsfirst has continuously kept the general public informed of the sale of the country's national resources, irregular development projects and corruption.
When Newsfirst initially exposed the central bank bond scam, a majority of Sri Lankans did not have a clear understanding of the situation.
Newsfirst also exposed the avant-garde weapons deal as well.
I think it is a sensible move to sell whatever properties we have right now, maybe even Hambantutta, because in the past too we have had experiences, bad experiences. Some of the properties were disposed of, especially now CTB, then Steel Corporation, so many others. Now what happened was, having sold all that, we had to face a lot of problems. I don't think it's a sensible move at this moment to sell any one of those these properties, because these belongs to this future generation and we need to protect. We have to cut down expenditure and we have to see various other ways and means of finding ways and means to develop all that, right, with whatever the available resources we have.
On the sidelines of this situation, there was an increase in the circulation of illegal weapons in the country and a surge in the crime rate was created.
Another example is the Uma Oil Multipurpose Development Project. In 2015, we reported that this project is causing a serious impact on the lives of those living in the Uva province.
The Hambantota port was another scenario which came under much scrutiny.
We pointed out that rather than selling the country's national resources, what the government should do in their development drive is to lease state resources to the private sector.
The leasing out of the container terminal at the Colombo harbour is an example for this.
The National Payment Platform has been a topic of discussion that we've been reporting on for the past few days. Joining us now is Chaturanga Hapuarachi from the Newsfirst newsroom. A very good evening, Chaturanga.
Good evening to you, Shane.
Chaturanga, tell us, how complex is this National Payment Platform?
Yes, Shane, as you were mentioning earlier on, when we were reporting on the central bank bond issue as well, things looked quite a bit complex when it came to the general public. But today we can see how far this issue has gone and how severe the central bank bond scam is to the general public of our country. Now, taking a look at the national payment platform, you and I would do online transactions, maybe using the mobile phone or maybe using the internet. If you take a look at, if you take a simple example, maybe paying your mobile phone bill, this is not the national payment that we are discussing. The people get confused between the two. We are talking about a system where you can pay your dues to the Inland Revenue Department. Maybe you can pay your money to the Customs Department. This is a system where all the state institutions are also integrated into one system where you can do online transactions with these state institutions as well, Shane.
So Chaturanga, tell me, what exactly is the issue?
Now, the issue, Shane, is very simple. Lanka Clear is a system that comes under the central bank. This Lanka Clear has created a system by the request of the Sri Lanka Customs to create a system where the commercial banks will be linked. Because what we had earlier, Shane, was a system where Lanka Clear can operate through a system called Asikuda. We have details of it coming later on. Asikuda is a system the custom operates with. This system can only do transactions through two state banks, People's Bank and the Bank of Ceylon. Lanka Clear was the main system developer where the commercial banks also got involved. However, we now see a situation where the ICTA, the Information Communication Technology Agency, has come in with another program, another proposal to create a national payment platform that goes beyond the regulatory role of the central bank. That is the issue here, Shane.
So tell me, Chaturanga, what's the difference between the system from Lanka Clear and the National Payment Platform?
Yes, Shane, the issue, the difference here is, Shane, the Lanka Clear system is under the direct regulatory and supervisory role of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Even though this is considered a private company, Lanka Clear is directly under the central bank together with the commercial banks. The safety, the security and the clarity is 100% there when it comes to this Lanka Clear system that we are talking about. However, this new national payment platform that we are discussing right now, the issue is that according to the proposals that have been put forward, the national payment platform is out of the regulatory aspects of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. There is no regulatory role played by the central bank when it comes to this particular national payment platform or the NPP. Thirdly, when you take a look at it, the data storage, whatever data that you provide will be stored in a cloud service that is hosted on the other side of the country, across the country. Now, this is also an issue raised by the central bank governor because we don't have privacy acts or laws to control this information. So these are the main issues that we have highlighted in the national payment platform. We have more details. Let's have a look.
The Chief Executive Officer of ICTA, Muhundan Kanage, appointed a 14-member review committee to look into the national payment platform. On the 22nd of June 2016, this review committee provided a report to the central bank titled Review Committee Report to Facilitate National Policy of the Government to Digitize the Economy. The report, among other things, says ICTA shall take responsibility in facilitating the implementation of a long-term governing council for the running and evolution of the national payment platform.
The governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, upon receiving this review committee report, wrote to the finance minister at the time, Ravi Karunanayake, on the 8th of July 2016. The governor says the national payment platform should be under the supervisory and regulatory role of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. In this letter, the governor says that the central bank has no regulatory role over this proposed national payment platform, that the central bank is not even a stakeholder in the NPP, according to the review committee report that has been submitted. Speaking about data storage, the governor says that Sri Lanka does not have either a data protection or a privacy act, making it difficult to control the privacy and security issues of data stored in cloud servers hosted outside the country. Mano Sekaram is one of the 14 members of this review committee appointed by CEO of ICTA, Muhundan Kanage. The system that the Sri Lanka custom uses, which is identified as Asikuda, can only carry out transactions through two state banks. They are the People's Bank and the Bank of Ceylon. Sekaram, who is the co-founder and the CEO of 99X Technology, has now been appointed as a director of the Bank of Ceylon.
While these revelations are coming to light regarding the national payment platform, startling details are also being revealed regarding the Google Loon project. There have been many revelations regarding the shortcomings of the failed Google Loon project, which aimed to provide internet services at a cheap price. Key among them were the attempt to acquire the spectrum of the country, which is a national resource, through a company named Rama, which was established for Google Loon. Parties involved in this project emphasized on many occasions that they did not spend state funds for this project.
සත පහක්වත් ලංකාවේ සල්ලි වලින් මහජනයාගේ ටැක්ස් ගෙවන මිනිසුන්ගේ මුදල් මේකට පාවිච්චි කරේ නැහැ.
If what the minister is saying is true, why was 450,000 rupees spent to hire the main auditorium of the temple trees for the launch of the project? Why was 2,830,500 rupees spent to produce 6 video snippets in Sinhala and Tamil? How was 3.5 million rupees spent on developing 3 short films? Wasn't a sum of 934,065 rupees spent on creating a showreel or short film for ICTA? Is it not true that rupees 2,357,973 and 20 cents was spent for the overall event coordinator? Rupees 9,872,538 and 20 cents has been spent for this purpose. Is this not taxpayer money?
Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samaravira called for international support to tackle financial crime in the country. The minister was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 20th annual meeting of the Asia-Pacific Group on Money Laundering held in Colombo this morning.
Sri Lanka has come through a very tough mutual evaluation review process carried out in 2015 with the APG leadership. In fact, I was informed that we are not yet completely out of the woods and that several areas still remain with regard to effective implementation of tasks and issues highlighted in the MER of 2015. Apart from the local commitment, we need assistance from the international community as well. We have come out of a fairly challenging period of time where corruption was rampant, and we have taken measures to rally against it. We should be able to do more, achieve more, and travel our journey towards eradicating all sorts of crime with the support of the international community.
The opening ceremony was attended by a group including Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, and Attorney General Jayantha Jayasuriya. 450 local and foreign delegates from 41 member countries and international observer organizations are taking part in the meeting. The Asia-Pacific Group on Money Laundering, commonly known as APG, is the regional body tasked with the monitoring of the effective implementation and enforcement of internationally accepted standards against money laundering and financial terrorism.
The MIG deal that took place during the previous administration is once again becoming a topic of discussion.
They are speaking of MIGs. According to my knowledge, this was done transparently.
A number of weekend newspapers as well as the Island newspaper today published articles on further revelations regarding the 2006 MIG deal. In his article, C.A. Chandra Peruma notes that the handling of the transaction for the deal through a third party is not uncommon. The island reports today that the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office has reopened their investigation into the 2006 MiG deal following Sri Lankan media reports. The author of both articles, C.A. Chandraperuma, is also the author of the book titled Gota's War. The Maubima newspaper also carried an article detailing the actions of the former Secretary of Defence. Startling revelations have come to light regarding the MiG deal, and Newsfirst is ready to reveal these details in the future. Dog is man's best friend, yet there are instances when dogs or any animal can be at the mercy of humans. A human's level of compassion and intellect are called into question when faced with instances of animal torture and brutality. One such brutal incident of animal cruelty has been circulating on social media over the past few days. The footage shows horrific images of stray dogs and cats on the Morato University premises being captured and killed. Their bodies were later found buried in a plot of land in the Pitipana area belonging to the university.
Caution. Some viewers may find the following visuals distressing. Last Saturday, 2 stray dogs and 10 cats were removed from the premises of the Morato University. Later, their remains were found buried on a plot of land in Homagama. The guard on duty at the land had this to say.
There are 9 cats buried here and around 5 or 6 dogs buried there.
An animal rights activist, Iraqi Kodituaku, who was at the site, expressed her views regarding the incident. Our organization has rescued around 2,000 to 3,000 animals, so it is very difficult for us to exhume the remains of the animals. We stated repeatedly that animals are being rounded up and taken away, but never did we imagine that the people in our country can kill animals in such a brutal manner. Vice Chancellor of the Morato University also spoke about the incident.
It is sad to hear about what has happened at the Morato University premises. We at the Morato University have never endorsed the killing of dogs. But the security forces have stated that the Morato University premises should be made free of stray dogs because there have been requests from the students and the staff. It was a major problem previously since the number of stray dogs in the university premises increased. Therefore, we have strengthened the boundary fences of the university in order to prevent stray dogs from entering the premises. We have also instructed the security to ensure that the dogs do not stray into the premises through the gates.
The number of animals that have been killed stands at 12. This barbaric killing of strays surfaced with an incident where a cat which had littered recently was buried alive. Who gave authorization for such a heinous act to be carried out?
I don't know anything about the incident. How would I know? It is not relevant to us. The Vice Chancellor of the university is here. Why don't you ask him?
I have been constantly slammed over the killing of dogs. I state with responsibility that I have not authorized the killings of dogs. I will not do so in the future as well. Sri Lanka is a Sinhala Buddhist country, and it is against the policy of this country to kill dogs. We understand that there is a problem regarding stray dogs, and we need to take action to resolve this problem. But I reiterate that killing dogs is not the solution. Although the Ministry of Provincial Council and local government has intervened in the issue, the complete responsibility lies with the provincial councils.
The State Veterinary Surgeons Association convened a media briefing today.
The rabies eradication program is not conducted by veterinarians. We request that the Veterinary Public Health Service be established. At present, vaccinations for dogs are administered by others. This needs to change, and it should be brought under the veterinary service.
Former Minister Mervin Silva paid homage to the Temple of the Sacred Tooth relic this morning.
Following religious observances, former Minister Mervin Silva called on the Chief Prelate of the Askiri chapter, Most Venerable Warakagoda Sri Nana Ratanathera. The former minister thereafter called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbotawave Sri Sumangala Thera. Subsequently, the former minister spoke to the media. Honestly, I did not come here to create a government or join the government. The chief prelate said they feel the loss of my absence. They said I should be there. I said it was Basil Rajapaksa who prevented me from coming in by not giving me nominations. I had the 4th highest number of votes in the country from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Such a person did not get nominations. What I came here to say was that if this journey continues like this, it will result in an extremely bad situation because the rulers are shameless and fearless. Then I requested both the chief prelates to immediately establish a Supreme Council which will be above the government. Disease was ended at that point because I tied that person to the tree. Today there are 100,000 dengue patients and around 200 deaths because of dengue. Such punishments were handed down by the kings. Will protest then? No, I didn't tie him to the tree. I got him to tie himself up to the tree in a way suitable to the country. Let's say I did tie him. Have I raped anyone? Stolen anything? Taken commissions? What have I done? I have spoken directly. I've called the thief a thief and the murderer a murderer. I will say that tomorrow as well. Not only the local government election, I will contest any election. The People's Party did not get the registration as yet, but I will contest even if it doesn't. I am neither in the government nor opposition. It doesn't matter to me if they stay or leave. What I am saying is that if they have a backbone and love the country, just come out without counting days.
And that's a wrap of primetime news for the night. For the News First team, I'm Dasnia Thalda.
And I'm Mervin Silva. Take care and good night.